So I have
I said I was bringing you a
2
cup
cups
of
of coffee.
Good. I'm a good
2nd
husband
cup of
today. 2 cups of coffee.
Okay.
All right, so we are live. Let's get the show started.
do, 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 do.
All right, so we are live. This is Jason.
And this is Peely.
And it is a true live 2nd cup of coffee. So, happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Happy Aloha Monday.
Happy Aloha Monday. Sure, absolutely. So, lots happening. Wow, we had a good weekend. We see we're already getting joined by kiddos coming on here. So, this is already showing. But yeah, we had a very good weekend. Really just being productive, keeping ourselves scheduled in our routine and our activities. We got to see SpaceX, the space launch. Kiddos never saw something like that before. Just lots of questioning. And I think that's one of the things you learn from continuing to just have kids grow around you is that it's just the questions they ask, right? And it just makes you think. It keeps you on your game, keeps you active because you have to continually keep attuned, right? Because they'll come out of nowhere and ask you questions. You have to think of a good logical way to explain it that is going to make sense for them and is also going to be appropriate for the conversation, right? Because it's not going to be so clear when they ask these questions. If I was to throw out something that's offhand, if sarcasm, other points, it's not gonna translate. But that comes to a lot like with our business, right? So how can we get our message across to the audience that it can be helpful and also continuing the conversation forward, right? We want to keep learning ourselves, keep providing great resources to others, and make sure when we get asked something of us that we can do our best to give the best solution if we know it. And if we don't, that's okay too, right? So you get asked questions a lot, right? From the kiddos.
From the kiddos? Yes.
I don't know if I know, I don't have the answer, right? I don't, a lot of times I don't have the answer. Some of these Hawaiian questions, I definitely don't have the answer, but I try. And if not, we'll figure it out. And I think one of the resources now to not be dependent on is we have Alexa here. So asking Alexa the questions, hopefully she doesn't talk back right now, but on that fact, again, right, to know that that's it. So the kids are starting to know that, right? And they're dictating the life. And I think they're, it's weird on the age that we're in now that we have these ability to ask things and get reply. And how's that going to continue to go forward? And our kids, they'll ask Alexa things. And the other day, Luke said, "I love you, Alexa." And I was like, no, like we're already, we're not creating that. And I'm thinking back to, some of these movies where people are falling in love with their virtual reality, love interest. And I'm saying this is just a treacherous path that I don't want to be on at this age, at this set or this stage of my life. So off on a tangent as I was letting you get back. I was
going to say I'm pretty in love with R2D2 and BB-8. Love them both. Well, I would honestly say I love you, BB-8.
Well, yeah, but now we have points. Alexa, I think I don't know who we are talking to, right, on any given day.
So what are we talking about today besides falling in love with Alexa and BB-8?
So some of the beautiful points here that go with a live show is that we have a talk track of talking points, and sometimes it's a surprise to Peely, depending on the time frame or time track that our youngest either goes down or sets a moment to go to sleep compared to when Peely can walk in. So Peely came in live to the show today. So today we are talking about asking, believing, and receiving.
Okay. Asking, believing, and receiving.
So when you hear those words, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Asking, believing, and receiving. So the first thing that comes to mind is one's connection to God, to the Holy Spirit, to whoever you might believe in this moment in time in your life. When you ask and you believe, then you receive. I mean, it's almost like it's straight out of the Bible. It's almost like it's straight out of any like ancient text. But if you want to dig even deeper just into self, if you ask yourself or ask others on a very human level, if you ask others and you believe that you're asking from the right place, and you're asking with the right heart, and you're asking with the right goals in mind, then you will receive. So if you believe that you are doing the right thing, and you are being the right person, you are being the kind person, you're being the positive person, and you're being the person that fights for the correct things, and you ask for the correct things back, then in all honesty, if you put that work in, you should receive it. And if you look back and you haven't received what you asked for, then you have to go back and revise. Then something that you did was out of order or out of sync, because you can't control anything else. And you've heard us say this before, you can't control anything else except for you and your reactions and your actions to the world around you. So if you are in the right mind and in the right mindset, then you can push forward and get done whatever it is you want to. It is really infinite, the things that you can do, but what do you allow yourself to do is the question. So ask, believe, receive. And that's the first thing. That's the first kind of like monologue. Sorry about the monologue, but that's the first thing that comes to mind is the Bible, and then going a little deeper into self. Really, if your mind is right, your heart is right, and you put the work in, when you ask and you believe that you've done all of that, and you believe in the person or God or yourself, sometimes it's yourself that you have to ask, then you will receive. And sometimes you have to be careful, because sometimes the thing that you receive might be a no.
Yeah, and it goes both ways, right? So ideally, that's great, right? So just catching you cold. So we can just end the show there. But on that fact, when you look at it here, you can ask for the wrong things too and get them. And so we're only as good as the questions we put out. That's the only thing we can do is what we put out is what we get back. And right. So if our energy is in the right context and we continue to push that forward, we can control what we're doing. Right. So we can work to be the best parents to our kids. We can work to be, the best husband or the best wife to each other. We can work on improving ourselves. But what we're putting in is ultimately what can come out. Not always is going to happen. Right. So we may ask a question. It's not the right timing for the question. It's not the right wording of the question, and being able to put that out there and talk it through and continue to have the narrative, especially with so much going on, is that, talking things through and having an understanding that gives us the best ability to improve ourselves and have that outpoint. And so we have to continue to ask better questions. And it's not easy because sometimes we don't know the questions, and we find the question by continuing to talk. And sometimes the best thing about podcasting is we can talk to other people, and ultimately we don't know where the conversation is going to lead. We don't know where it's going to go, because we don't know what came up until we hear something from the other person that spawns the next question, right? It really just grows the conversation forward. I spoke to Yona Weiss today, great conversation, great person. I was on his podcast, and he was talking about, podcasts getting you in front of, really other thought leaders or people, other people of massive experience. And that's great. But if I can't come on there and produce questions that open up, thoughts, or open up or provocative questions that can lead the conversation, well, then it's not going to produce a good symbiotic really interview, because we're not creating value.
See, the thing is, though, and I know Jason knows this, but I want to make sure our audience knows this. Yes, you want to produce the right questions, but you also want to make sure you're listening. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're talking about asking, believing, and receiving. But in order to do any of that, in order to know what question you need to ask, in order to know what to believe in order to know what is being received, you have to first listen for it. You have to listen for the questions especially like, let's say, podcasting, on a note that we really know how to do that. If we don't listen to our guests, then we're just going to be rambling over them with just these rote questions. the best thing you can do, whether you're a podcaster, whether you're just talking to a friend, whether you're even just listening to the news or sitting down with your husband or listening to your children, talking with your children, if you don't absolutely listen with your whole heart, your whole mind, then you're going to miss it. You're going to miss the question that you have to ask. You're going to miss the chance to believe in whatever it is that you want to go for. And then you're going to miss the gift, because I mean, we're all putting our hands out, expecting the world. But what if the world's already in our hands? What if it's already there? We're just not looking, we're not listening.
Yeah. So the ask is the first part, and believe is that you will find the answer. And sometimes we don't know what that answer is, right? So we don't know ultimately what the answer is, but we have to keep getting better at asking the question that are going to produce better results. Ultimately knowing that if we do that, if we push that forward, we're going to find just the belief. We're going to know that we're going to find it. We know that's going to come up, but we have to continue to ask for what we want, be specific, what we're looking for, and have the ability to adapt as we go along. Right. So you want to have that plan, right?
Yes.
That process and the tracking mechanism for what that process looks like. And then the ability to look at the process, look at the tracking and say, okay, is what we're doing or what am I doing producing results, right? So if I'm working out, I'm doing a certain series of workouts, and my ultimate measure is strength, and I'm trying to get to a certain point for how much I can lift. Is the exercises I'm doing creating some consistency where I'm getting stronger throughout the weeks, throughout the months, throughout the years? If not, I have to look at it. Is this a combination of me sleeping, me eating, me doing exercises that don't align with the exercise I'm trying to get stronger in, right? So I want to look at that part. I want to look at what it is and then adapt. Okay, so what can I learn, right? Can I ask better questions? Is there someone I can speak to that may have a better approach that's accomplished what I've wanted to before? Is there YouTube videos where I can go and look at something and say, okay, maybe it's not any of those, it's my technique, right? So I'm trying to do these exercises, and the exercises are the right exercises, but my technique is so flawed that I start capping, right? So bench press, for instance, if you start doing certain things in your bench press, it may make you ultimately stronger in the short run, but you're going to cap, right? Because your muscles haven't grown up. You're using cheat methods to get your point to a certain level, and then you stop, right? Well, that's a lot with life, right? We may short the upfront work, and then now when we get to the point where we start plateauing, we have to look back at what we're doing and saying, okay, we took the short route here, and we have to go back and build the foundation to those short steps, right? And then get to it. A lot of the students we teach for multifamily, things we teach about is building foundation, right? So building up foundation, because you can't jump to the part of, okay, hey, I got a property under contract. What do I do now? Because it's too late, right? So you have to go back and figure out what are those questions I need to ask before I get to that process. Believe I'm going to get there. And then also now when I'm asking this question, I believe it enough. Now I'm going to start receiving the good feedback to get me to my destination.
I get it. Like, you want to, as investors or possible investors, you want to jump to that. And you want to jump to that, getting that deal in your grasp, or somebody that has a deal and you're just like, Jason, Peely, or whoever, look, I have this amazing deal. And we're like, did you run the numbers? Did you do this? Did you do that? And they're like, well, I don't know what that means. I'm like, okay, let's start from the beginning.
Well, this might be helpful, right? Because like
exactly.
To that point, so it's not even so much even about running the numbers. Is like, do you even know what metric you should be looking at? Do you know the market? Like, do you really know the market? Not that you've been to the city. Like, how dialed in are you to the market? Do you have a team there? Do you have presence on the ground? Do you have boots on the ground? Have you spoke to banks? Have you spoke to your broker network? Have you built out your process? So if this is a good deal, you can move and be successful with it. Or did you find a deal that could potentially be good, but you don't know how to analyze it because you don't have all the other parts, and now you have to chase instead of allowing it to be received?
So that's where I was going with the ask, believe, and receive. The thing is, if you ask for the help first, and you get the mindset and you get the foundation first, then you put that deal on top of that foundation, you have a better chance of taking that deal. And deals will come and go, I promise you. You can put that deal on top of that foundation, and you have a better chance of taking that deal to fruition, to the point where you are managing that deal, you're asset managing that deal, or whatever it is that you want to do with it, you have a better chance of taking that if you ask the right questions, if you listen first, you believe that you can do it, then you'll receive the education to build that foundation that you can put whatever it is that you want to do on top of that.
So maybe we should need to set an Alexa reminder, but here we are 15 minutes in. So you're about halfway through your workout. So if you are out there crushing it, you can go on the tail and finish up whatever your activity you're out there doing. So let's transition now.
Ooh.
We are into Ask, Believe, Receive. We are doing 75 hard again. We talked about that a bit, but it's really for us just to continue to create routine by eliminating distractions. And we're day 12, 10, 8. We've just grown accustomed that this is becoming more of a life, which is cool. We have a track downstairs. I think we did the numbers May 19th we started. So we are 13 days in.
So during the whole, because this 75 hard that we're doing is actually not part of the program. We just decided to jump back into the beginning of the program because we were waiting for phase 3 to happen. But the thing is, the way Andy Frisella built out this program, I don't think you were meant to wait. You're supposed to keep on doing it every single day. Mm-hmm. So we're like, what are we doing? We should be doing this. So I haven't actually been counting. If you followed me when we were doing 75 hard into phase 1 into phase 2, you can see and you can track. I went every day. I wrote down what we did. I said what day it was. I gave you what my thoughts were. But this time I'm kind of just letting it slide because it's life. 75 hard has just become life. We work out, we drink water, we take care of ourselves, we take care of our family, we take care of our minds, and it just makes complete and utter sense now. Complete sense. And it's not even something that I need to track anymore. Once we jump onto phase 3, which needs to happen July 5th, 2 days before my birthday, that you can be sure that I will start tracking that, because I don't even want to go into like what phase 3 entails. It's going to be a doozy, but we can do it.
Well, we will do it, and right, that's part of it. We set it up, we knock it down, and
Andy Frisella, I'm asking you, pray for us for phase 3. We can do it, and come on our podcast. There's my cat. There's my ask. I believe that you will come on the podcast, and I believe we'll receive that.
Yes, so we'll take it. But yes, we will do it. And if we fail, we will start over and do it, and it will get done. So right. And that's the options. There's no in between.
But we're not going to fail.
We're not going to fail. But
it's already done.
It is already done. And for that, that's our options right there. So, but noting like anything else, right? If you don't know, what you're doing, you may have more options to fail. But if you have a result in mind.
Hugging my coffee.
I think she's hugging her coffee because she's thinking about we have to take cold showers during phase 3, and that might be part of it. A warm coffee probably doesn't matter in a cold shower, but so be it. So
that's like the hardest part. It really is. Anywho, what were we saying again? 75 hard.
No, we're talking fitness. So
fitness.
We got outside, got a hike. It's good to get back out there because you want the kids to know that they're still so young, 5, 3, 1, that they're just being exposed. I saw someone running the other day, and my son got scared because he's thinking this virus is this thing that's going to run up and get you. And we're trying to let him know that these viruses never go away. They're part of life, and that you have to start keeping them informed, right? So we got out. They saw a lot of people out. We went up to the reservation, got a good hike in. There was people outside. Got out early. It was great to see. I think one thing that's come of this, and maybe I'm just more in tune to it. I'm not. So this is actually true. You are all working out more. And I appreciate that because literally I run the streets more than most, and it's usually me, right? And now I actually see people, which is, and if it happens to be a later run, there's actually a good number of people. But, before that, there wasn't many of you out there. So I'm psyched that people are out there because, even early, right? There's one lady I'm out there running, and I actually see her pretty randomly. We're on a pretty good subset. Even if I'm 10 minutes off around, we see pretty randomly on the same street daily if I run one route. So it's good to see that people get out there and get moving because I've been running this route for a while, and it's usually me. So it's cool that it's good it's getting out there, and it's good to get back early again. I think the earlier and earlier you get up, the more you get ahead of things that have to go on. And if you work at night or work late, well, you can just set that up for consistency. So early could be 10 a.m., right? When we used to work to 1, 2 p.m. or 1, 2 a.m., we weren't getting up, or 5, 6, it didn't make sense to get up at 5, 6. You're just going to bed. So you have to say, okay, so what's my time frame? That 5, 6 hours, window, 7-hour window. What does that look like that I can get up and give myself space and be productive?
So yeah, I mean, there's so much negativity out on the Facebook, whatever we want to call it. But if we focus on the positivity, and that being this little guy's hugs, and the fact that, there's more people out there working out. There's more times for hugs from your kids. Mm-hmm. There's so much positivity that you can latch onto. And that's just a couple of things. Find those things that are positive in your life and latch onto them.
All right. So we are coming into Kid Zone here, as we can see. So we're going to take this one out here tomorrow. Going to be talking, of course, where criticism comes from. What can we do with that? And where it's good to listen and where it's good to not. And there's many in between from there, right? So how's Monday been so far? Luke has learned to blink. It's one of those new parts right here. So everything's a blink. So I'm going to take the blink as awesome. But yes, happy Monday. Get up, get the large chunks off. One thing I've been doing this week is I've been trying to really just look at the processes we're doing and see how many things I can, same ultimate goal, how many things can be done to get to the same result, and how many things I can eliminate and still have that same result.
All right. Take my place for
Luke,
the end.
Can you take us out here? Can you say, this is a second cup of coffee live?
This is a second cup of coffee live.
We will see you tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Let's do this.
Let's do this.
All right. That's it. See you later.